Welcome into the 3-3 Falcons today, and we're back to benching Desmond Ridder. It was not a good game for DR9. Atlanta came up short 24-16, largely because of Ridder's 3 interceptions after the defense got off to a bit of a shaky start in the first half. They clamped down on Washington in the second half, only give up 7 points, but unfortunately the offense only put up 6 points, and Atlanta came up down 8 at the end of the game with a 3rd interception from Desmond Ridder to seal the fate of the Falcons. So let's run through some of the stats, talk about the highlights, and I'll give you guys my opinion on this game and whatnot. Sam Howell and the Commanders got off to a really strong start, drove down the field, put up 3 points, and they put up a lot of points in the first half. But give credit to Atlanta's defensive line. If you want one silver lining out of this loss, it's that this defensive line is miles ahead of where they were last year, right? Calais Campbell picked up his 100th sack. It was awesome to see Falcons fans give him a standing ovation despite him only playing 6 games so far as an Atlanta Falcon. The rest of the defensive line all got a sack, right? Grady Jarrett, Arnold Ebiketie, you get a sack, you get a sack, you get a sack. Ultimately, Sam Howell continues to be the NFL's punching bag as he was sacked 5 times, if I remember correctly. But ultimately, it was the Atlanta's offense that could not get going yet again. And if you're noticing a theme in all 3 of the Falcons' losses, it's not that the defense is getting bent over and railed from behind. No. It's the offense for Atlanta that is not getting anything going, specifically on the ground game. But let's talk more about Desmond Ridder and whether or not you are out on Desmond Ridder. Yes or no? Give me your honest opinion down below in the comment section as to whether or not you think Atlanta does not have the long-term QB at Ridder and they should start looking a different direction with the NFL trade deadline, or are we overreacting to just one game? The only good thing Desmond Ridder gave us today was an incredible visual of Arthur Smith going like, oh my God, as Ridder threw one of the worst interceptions in red zone history. I mean, near the goal line, big 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, whatever it was, and he throws it right to the defender. So 3 picks altogether for Ridder, and it was a fun game last week. 300-plus yards, got the win, vibes are high, took down the Texans. But ultimately, are we really about to crown Desmond Ridder as this team's franchise quarterback moving forward because of a 300-yard game against the Houston Texans, who are supposed to be one of the worst in the NFL? No, we probably should not do that. So I'm back to where I started, which is I don't really think Desmond Ridder's the guy, but he's the quarterback this year. So we're sort of stuck with him at least for now. It was an atrocious performance for Desmond Ridder. The garbage yards and whatnot, I'm not going to read into. 3 interceptions, inexcusable. Probably should have thrown a bit more if not for Drake London plucking balls out of the air and saving his quarterback's ass. Tyler Algier, that 2-point conversion. I don't hate going for 2 there. I don't love it. But giving it to Algier up the gut when he's gotten nothing going all day pretty much, that seemed like a bad decision from Arthur Smith, right? I can make peace with going for 2 there. I don't like giving it to Tyler Algier in that situation. But like I said, Drake London was great today. If you want one good thing coming out of the offense, it's Drake London, 9 grabs, 125 yards. He is him. And Kyle Pitts, we got a Kyle Pitts touchdown. 4 grabs, 43 yards, 1 touchdown. So it's good to see both of them playing well at the same time. For so long, and they're like short overlap thus far, it felt like it was always one or the other. I love seeing both Pitts and London getting going and cooking at the same time. Now, today's show, before we get to the rest of it, is being supported by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports app where all you have to do is pick more or less for 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Prize Picks is super simple and user-friendly. I spend 1 to 2 minutes on the app every Sunday morning making my selections. So if you're in the Oval Office or you're on your way to the game, get on Prize Picks and start making some money. Now, this week on Prize Picks, here are my selections. I am going with a Sunday Night Football crew of Josh Allen, more than 285-ish passing yards. Stephon Diggs, more than half a touchdown. He's scoring today. And I'll take Tyrod Taylor, less than 181 passing yards. I think the Bills are going to win this one big time. So I like the 2 mores for the Bills players and the less for Giants QB Tyrod Taylor. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Let's talk about the rest of this game and the offensive woes and the defense playing pretty well. I mean, pretty well, I think selling them a bit short. You look at the number 24, and the streak does stay alive of Atlanta keeping opponents to 25 points or less, dating back to midway last season, actually. But Sam Howell and the offense got up to a really good start. But credit to Atlanta's defense coming out of the half, making some tweaks, making some adjustments, but ultimately stifling this Commanders offense in the second half. And the ground game for the Commanders never really got going. 22 carries, 72 yards. But they held on to the football, and they packed a punch early on. And that was enough for them to hold on to a lead against what has been a really special fourth quarter season for Desmond Ridder, right? He sort of played his best football in the second half this year. But we did not get the best football from Desmond Ridder in the second half of this game. Atlanta's offensive numbers against Washington. 402 total yards, 296 passing yards. Sorry, I lost my voice. Rushing yards, 106. It wasn't really easy going for Bijan and Tyler Algier. They got a couple of decent runs here and there, but consistency from start to finish, it never felt like Atlanta was winning in the trenches. They played against a really good front four for Washington, who Deron Payne left late in the game, but Atlanta stayed pretty healthy in this game. They never really had some momentum on the ground. And asking Desmond Ridder to lead a comeback in the fourth quarter, he did it a couple times this year, but he wasn't able to do it every time. And without a ground game to lean on, you knew it was going to be tough for Atlanta to come out with a win. All right, let's look at some more stats in this game here. Scary Terry was scary. 6 grabs, 81 yards. Brian Robinson, the other B. Robinson, he had 2 grabs for 25 yards and 1 of the touchdowns. Curtis Samuel also scored a touchdown as well. As for Atlanta's receiving leaders, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. Like I said, Atlanta's offense ultimately is to blame here. And if we're getting specific, it's Desmond Ridder, who had some nice throws at times, but not just the 3 interceptions. Like when you compare these two teams head to head, it's not just the 3 interceptions. It was a lot of missed opportunities too, right? There were some easy throws for Desmond Ridder that he just missed on that blew away chances to extend drives and pick up yards and things like that. So we are back to where we were like 2 weeks ago, and that is it Taylor Heineke time, or is it trade for Kirk Cousins or trade for Justin Fields, right? Trade for some other quarterback, because you know that Desmond Ridder's probably going to do enough to get you 8 to 10 wins. And that's really a compliment to the defense, the ground game most weeks, and Ridder's ability to do just enough to have you in a toxic relationship where sometimes you're like, I think I like Desmond. Like, he's a good guy when he's not making out with other girls. And it's like, well, you probably shouldn't date a guy that does do that more often than not. And that is the reality here, where Ridder is not having a low average of fuck-ups. Like, they are happening at way too high of a level. And anytime you make your head coach go like, oh my God, as if they're a fan of college football Saturday, you did a really bad thing. And that interception was just unforgivable. It killed Atlanta's comeback efforts. 3 picks in the second half. Can't have it. Just cannot have it. All right, that's going to do it for us on our post-game show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Sorry that we couldn't talk about a win today, but 3-3 for the Falcons. Hopefully they can start picking up some more wins down the stretch.